Good afternoon. My name is Vojtěch Smrček, and I'm an Android developer at Automatic. I'm actually an Android developer for 5 years already, but before that I used to do some web development, some PHP, some .NET, and I joined Automatic 2 years ago. So why am I doing this talk? Even though WordPress has a lot of external contributors and everything is open sourced, we don't have by far as many contributors on mobile apps as the web does. And yeah, I was actually quite amazed by the WordPress community. I wasn't very familiar with that before I joined Automatic. Because Android and web world don't really overlap. But yeah, once I joined, I discovered it, and it's pretty awesome. So, how many of you knew before this talk that there were WordPress mobile apps? Not many. And how many of you, well, probably no one has installed the app on my phone. I do. So the apps, we have apps for both iOS and both Android. And they are both owned by the WordPress Foundation, both open sourced, as the rest of the products. So with the WordPress mobile app, you can do quite a lot. It provides you the full WordPress experience. You can connect your own site. You can create content. You can create beautiful posts and pages. You can see the detailed statistics. And anything your users do. You can see notifications. We actually provide integration with the system, so we use the system notifications, which is very useful if you want to keep in touch with your site and be up to date. And yeah, also the integration with the system helps us with stuff like you can take a photo with your phone, you can share it in the app, you can create a post from that photo, and you can create a post really fast and anywhere you want. One more thing we provide is the reader, and the reader helps you with following and reading stuff from other sites, other blogs, and that's a very neat way to kind of like catch up on the stuff you like. So the mobile apps. The mobile apps are distributed as binary bundles through the stores. So it's on iOS you have the App Store. On Google you have Google Play, and the apps are developed as open source under GPL2 license. This means that you can just like go to GitHub and check the code yourself. You can see everything we do. We develop the apps in the main languages for both platforms. So on Android, most of the code is in Java, but we try to write all the new code in Kotlin. On iOS, we have both Objective-C and Swift, but also we are trying to write the new code in Swift. Both Kotlin and Swift are modern languages, and they're really pretty cool. You should check them out. And we also have we also have this Gutenberg integration project, which is built in React Native. And React Native is a framework developed by Facebook, which allows multi-platform development. It allows you to write code in JavaScript with a React pattern and ship this code to both iOS, both Android, and also you can use the same code on web. We use this for Gutenberg. And it's really helpful with the blocks, because the blocks contain some logic written in JavaScript, and since we are using JavaScript in React Native, we can reuse the same code, the same logic. It still requires some manual work, but it's much easier to port the blocks to mobile app. And we have a dedicated team that works only in React Native, only in Gutenberg. So now I've told you a little bit about the apps. Let's talk about the people who are building the apps. We have quite a big mobile team right now. Yeah, we have people mostly in North America and Europe, but we are trying to expand to other places in the world. Automatic is a fully remote company, so everyone on the team works from their home or cafes. This is really great. So we can actually use the knowledge that people have from other countries and put that into our app. We have people who speak more than 20 languages. Yeah, we have people all over the world. Yeah, we have. I think I checked like a month ago that we had 61 people across 20 countries. I'm pretty sure this number is much higher right now because we are hiring all the time. Yeah, we are very serious about diversity, and this is not only about gender, but it's mostly about like socioeconomic background. A lot of users of WordPress right now are, for example, from India. So it's great that we could have people who live and work in India. Yeah, we have all possible languages. Most people hired, like right now, are not actually native English speakers. Yeah, so now you saw the apps, you saw the team. Let's talk about the development process we use in Automatic. Usually, when you have any company, the development process is kind of obscure. It's like a black box. You don't see it from the outside. For us, since we do open source, we are trying to make this more public. There is still this barrier. I think it's not that much present on the web, but on mobile, there's still a pretty big barrier. If you want to, you have to like cross to start developing, contributing to the code. And actually, I hope that after my talk, maybe some of you will be able to like cross this barrier and like look into what we do and see like and contribute themselves. So yeah, the development process. So this is like the highest level overview of the process. So it all starts with GitHub. GitHub is the source of truth for most of open source projects. All of our code is on GitHub. Most of our discussions are on GitHub. And this makes everything pretty visible. Yeah, everything starts with a GitHub issue when you start working on something. So you can create an issue. If you would be as an external contributor creating an issue, you can just go to WordPress, Android or iOS, create an issue, and we will probably look into it soon. After that, the issue gets prioritized, and then we start to work on the code. We are trying to be agile. Like for some of you probably know what it means, but it means that we don't have any like long planning and long development and then like shipping once in 3 months. We do sprints. Sprints in our case take 2 weeks. They are a unit of development, so everything should be planned, prepared, developed, and shipped in these 2 weeks. If you can't do it, that means that you picked an issue that was too big and should be split into more pieces. So the development cycle, the important word there is the cycle. It's a never-ending set of steps which you take when you develop something. So you assign an issue to yourself, you work on this issue, and then you open a PR. PR is a pull request. So what is a pull request? Yeah, pull request in our case is opened on GitHub, and it's a request to merge your changes, your code, into the code base. Pull request has an assignee, which is probably one of the developers or you. It has at least one reviewer who checks the code and like decides if the code is good enough to be merged, if the code does what it's supposed to do, if the quality is high enough. When you do a pull request, try to be as descriptive as possible, try to follow the guidelines, try to link the issue, and yeah, try to have the highest code quality as possible. So since the apps are pretty old, most of the code has been there for years already, it has been patched and updated and worked on for ages, and doesn't make it very good. It's very hard to read, very hard to extend. That's why we are trying to be pretty strict about code quality. So the code has to be as readable as possible, which means that when you come to the code, you look at the code, you see right away what it does. It has to be maintainable, which means that it should be easy to fix bugs. It should be extensible, which means that like whoever comes to the code and tries to implement a new functionality should have pretty easy job to do so. And it should be tested, testable and tested. Most of the code in our code base is neither of these four, but the new code should be. Good suggestion is to follow surrounding code and write as many unit tests as possible. This is something I'm trying to push for in the team. So this was supposed to be a video, which it's not, of a sample pull request. But yeah, this is a pull request I created in November. There you can see some like a link to the issue. You could see a link to a crash which it was fixing. You can see steps to reproduce. You can see a reviewer, an SID which is me. You can see a type which is a crash. And yeah, and there's like some discussion on the PR. If you open a PR, don't get discouraged by the feedback you get. It's possible that so since we are trying to maintain high standards, it's possible that it might feel a bit harsh, but it's just trying to improve the code, improve your knowledge, and the next PR and the next PR will always get simpler and simpler. So now you have a code that has been reviewed, it has been merged. It would be quite useless if you couldn't release it. So let's look into the release cycle we follow. Every 2 weeks after the sprint, we always ship and release what was done in these 2 weeks. This makes it pretty useful to have small releases, so you don't have like big breaking changes which are hard to fix. We just do small incremental changes. We first release beta. You all can join beta program. We have test flight for iOS, or we have Google Beta group on Google Play. After the code is tested, we do stage rollout, which means that we release the app to 1% and then more and more. So basically, if you write any code, you get it merged. It takes about a month to get to the audience. So in the release cycle, we create a test build. It goes to testers, which could be anyone, and based on the testing, we get some feedback. We get bugs, we get issues, we get whatever can be improved. We prioritize this. The stuff that's really urgent, which is usually crashes, we fix right away, and we release another test build. If it's not urgent, we incorporate it into our sprint. So we work on it as soon as possible. And now let's talk about how you all can contribute to the WordPress mobile apps. There are actually several ways to do this. So these 4 steps are testing, feedback and feature requests, localization, which means translation, and programming, actually some code. So how you can test the app? After each sprint, we always release a call. We always publish a blog post that's called Call for Testing, and in that blog post, you have like all the steps you need to take for testing. It tells you how to join beta groups. It shows you like everything that was done in this release, how you can report issues, how you can test it. So this is actually a really good way to get started with contributing, because you can see what's being done. You can see what's being worked on. You can follow the community. Yeah. And yeah, testing really matters. It helps us identify what's broken, what's crashing, and it's extremely valuable. We, as developers, are trying all we can to write automated tests, but automated tests always well, they help a lot, but they always test only happy paths. And user manual testing is always precious because it finds the hidden stuff. And we cannot really test on all phones, which is especially important on Android. So if you have like Huawei, for example, most people in our team don't. So, and we had some pretty serious crashes that happened only on certain brands or certain Android version. Yeah. So let's, this is a call for testing. It was supposed to be a video, but it doesn't work again. But it's pretty, you can see like the description, you can see how to join the testing test beta group and how to report stuff, what to test. Feedback and feature requests. That's actually, I think, I would say this is like really easy way how to affect the product. So we are always looking for feedback about what's broken, what doesn't work as it's expected, or if you have a great idea what should be implemented and you don't have time to do it, we do, and we are looking for this feedback. So you can just let us know either on GitHub, feel free to ping me, or just create an issue and we'll definitely look into it. Yeah, this is the list of issues. You can just create a new issue and just let us know what the community wants. We want to give to the community, and it's not always easy for us to come up with new stuff that you want. You can also reach to us on WordPress Slack, and that you can check the link to see how to do that. So the WordPress mobile apps are localized. Let me translate it. We have a lot of languages. Yes, so we use a WordPress for translations, and anyone can join. I actually tried it just yesterday, and it's super easy to get into it and start translating. The state of Czech translation, for example, isn't that great. We have, I think, around 70% of the strings are translated, but still means 30% are not, and the experience for Czech people is then not that great. We are trying to, like, as a team, as a mobile team, we are trying to like actively do these regular checks of each of us like own languages, but it's really not possible to translate everything ourselves. We update the translations every 2 weeks, and with every release, we always pull the latest translations. Yeah, this is the WordPress, but yeah, again, it was a video. It doesn't really work now. And so the last thing you can do, and that's probably the hardest one, is contributing code. We are trying we have a lot of issues to work on, and we have a lot of ideas what to do. So we have these issues. We are trying to tag them with good first issue, and that's something that you can just come and pick and work on. These issues are usually in limited scope. It could be, for example, changing something in UI or something that mostly any developer can just jump in and work on. The steps are not complicated, as you see. The thing is that, like, once you do it, there will be feedback, and we will be trying to like make the code great again. So yeah, you can get some feedback, but like take this as a learning opportunity. So my recommendations if you want to contribute to the code, just pick one of the areas of the code that are new. We have a lot of code that's, as I said before, it's really old, and it's really a challenge to do anything in there. So for example, trying to write anything in the editor is really difficult. You have like Gutenberg, you have Aztec, you have you have like 3 editors there, and everything is communicating, and everything is really, really complex. Even doing something simple takes one of us like a week. So you definitely don't have like a week to fix one thing. So I would recommend going for stats, which were completely written on both platforms last year. They actually look pretty cool, so I would recommend checking them. And then, for example, we have rewritten the posts and pages sites, so that's also a good place to start. We have some coding style guidelines, so just check them and follow them. And yeah, just take your time. The thing that if you don't, we have 2 week sprints, but you are not limited by that. You can take all the time you want. You can ask any questions you want, and all of us are just happy to help with anything that's that you need. So why should you contribute? That's a question, right? Like, it's open source, so why should you contribute? Of course, you can just like get the work experience. If you want to start with Android development, it's not always easy to know where to start. And I think we are one of the biggest mobile open source projects like there is. There are not that many open source mobile apps. So you can just learn how to code and you can just grow, right? Which is also something for your CV, obviously. And we, as Automatic, if we hire people, it's a big deal if you actually contribute to the code. So for us, it can save you some steps and can help you to get to know us. You can, of course, improve the app for everyone. So the app could be used with your own site, as I said before. So you can just, if you use it, you can just improve it whatever you want. We have, as I said before, we had like 60 people working in the mobile team, but like to do everything we want to do, we would need much more. So we cannot do everything. We are trying to make the app as good as possible. Yeah, so we are hiring as Automatic. It's pretty cool. So you work remotely. There's actually 3 of us Android developers working in Prague right now. We all know each other and we meet quite often, but you can work from anywhere in the world. And the great thing is that you get the same work conditions, and doesn't matter in which country you live. So you can just travel anywhere you want, and Automatic doesn't really mind. We have people who just live in an RV and ride across America and just work from wherever they are. So if you want to like any more information, you can just come to me after the talk, and I'll let you know. So I got this presentation a bit shorter than I planned because I didn't have the presenter notes and the videos. But yeah, if you have any questions in English or in Czech, let me know.
Is there any question from the audience? If not, I have some. Okay, so you mentioned that you work with 61 people in the team right now in 20 countries, if I'm not mistaken. So what is the communication challenge? Is this all managed by like some project management software? What do you use?
This is actually pretty interesting. I think big advantage is that we are fully remote and fully distributed. So there is no like on-site team and then someone working from home. So we have to like all learn how to communicate remotely. So we use Slack as instant messaging, but no one expects you to reply right away. Everyone just knows that you will get back to the messages when you are online, right? You can work with someone in Australia, you can work with someone in the US. Then we have internal WordPress pages, which are great if you want to like share something or communicate something over a longer period of time. And yes, so these 2. And then we have GitHub, where we communicate the coding stuff. So if you write code, you share it, you get feedback. This can take more than 1 day. So this is another tool we use for communication. We don't really use emails that much. So yeah, this is mostly it.
Okay, I will have a question about you said you track everything in GitHub, but you also mentioned 2-week sprints. Do you have any external software that you use to plan the sprints?
We are, like, this kind of depends on each team. We were like trying different stuff. I think we don't have anything set right now. I think my team uses mostly WordPress for that. but some teams I know use I think GitHub also supports this right now. So some teams use GitHub. I think someone was trying Jira and something, but I think mostly it's kind of free. Whatever the team chooses, they can use. We don't have any actual program that's mandatory or something.
Are you personally assigned to a team that is iOS specific or
I'm
Android?
an Android developer, so I work on the WordPress Android app.
Okay.
Yeah, from the mobile team, most of the people actually worked on the WordPress app at one point in their life, but you also have other products. We work on WooCommerce Mobile, stuff like that.
Okay, and in your Android team, do you have any specialization that you're looking for, more priority than the others? You mentioned many languages. So
yeah.
what are you looking for the most right now?
I think on Android we are open to anyone. The two main qualifications right now you could have is one is native Android developer and one is React Native. So if you are one of these two, it'd be great. Then also we are always looking for platform engineers, for example. So that help with the building the CI and the testing environment and all that. So I would say these three. But if you are an Android developer or iOS developer, it doesn't matter. If you are more focused on UX or logic or anything, we can just hire anyone who's good. And senior-ish, we don't hire juniors.
Okay, sorry, juniors.
It's hard in remote.
Juniors probably can contribute
yes,
by the...
definitely, and learn. But it's in the remote environment, it's hard to teach someone from the junior level. So we are not doing that at the moment. We might do it in the future, but right now we have enough difficulties trying to incorporate the senior people, and it's hard to do that in the remote environment.
Yeah, I can imagine. What would you recommend exactly? You said that there is part of older code and part of newer code. Is there any feature that you actually would recommend people in here to contribute to that you like personally?
Well, I personally rewrote the stats on Android, so I would really recommend that. It's a lot of fun. I did the whole architecture and everything. So I'm proud of that, so I would definitely recommend that.
Okay, so Android stats, everybody heard. Okay. I will have more questions about the process. You said you're testing and you're trying to write as many tests as you can. So what are your tools and how do you do it?
That's a good question. So actually, I'm personally pushing for as many unit tests as possible, which are natively written in Kotlin or Java. On Android, it doesn't really matter. Kotlin and Java are kind of you can use both together. And that's because they are fast and they cover very specific use cases. So if you have a lot of unit tests, it doesn't slow you down at all. And then we have a team that does a lot of UX tests, automated tests that just click through the app. And yeah, so they are much slower and much flakier on Android. I don't know how it's on web, but on Android it's or iOS, it's really tricky because the device doesn't behave the way you would expect it sometimes. It takes longer time and then they are flaky, they break. So they are mostly on that. But yeah, I would say if you write unit tests, that's 99% enough. And then we also do UX testing. Designers do UX testing. So we try to reach out to people, show them the features, and see how they behave, how they interact with the app. Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned when it's all tested, you deploy to just some part of the audience?
Yeah. That's done automatically through the Google Play Store. So we release to 1%, and we track what happens if the app starts crashing. Sometimes it does happen. It shouldn't, but it sometimes does. We need to fix that before we release to everyone. So yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure you also do it, some of you on the web, but this is a really useful tool to do. It's staging rollouts. It's easier on web than on mobile because on mobile you have to go through the whole process of building the package and releasing it. yeah, so on web you can just like manually turn a feature on or off for part of audience. For us, it's much slower process.
Do you use any analytics or tracking for this?
We do. We used to use what is it called? Crashlytics and Fabric, which was Google owned. Now, and we switched for like some concerns with Google. We switched to Sentry, which is now run by us on our own servers. So now we basically have everything that we own. We have on our own servers.
Okay. Is there part of your team that is deciding how it's gonna planning the new features or improvements, or do you strictly go by GitHub and votes and?
It's a little bit random, I would say. So we meet as a team, which is like sub-team. I would say in our team is like 7-8 people. We meet once a year, somewhere in the world. We are actually flying next week to Chicago, and we look at suggestions from all over the place, from GitHub, from inside the company, and then we like go through them and see what could be done, what makes sense, and then like we start working on that in the like 6 months after the meetup. And then like we meet again and we decide again, but like we also incorporate smaller stuff in the middle of the sprint, right? This is only about like bigger stuff. Like if you want to rewrite big part of the app, you do it this way.
Okay, and you mentioned the old code. I will just return to it one more time. What is the balance between rewriting and some refactoring and new features?
Also, good question. So I think before, I would say like 2 years ago maybe, there was not a lot of rewriting and refactoring, and that's why we got to the state where we are right now, and that's not very good. So I'm trying to push for more rewriting, but we usually only rewrite or refactor stuff that we want to change. We don't do just refactoring for the sake of refactoring. So the stats, we actually had completely new UX design. We completely rewrote also the logic and everything. So yeah, this is I think this is like a smart compromise. I wouldn't suggest just rewriting code because the code is ugly, even though sometimes like the developer in me just wants to do it because the code is so bad.
I think people can relate to that.
Yeah, but it's usually just waste of resources, because if it works and you are not really bothered by the old code, it doesn't make sense. In our case, we actually, like with the editor, as I said before, that was actually slowing us down a lot, because it was actually the first time in my life when I found an issue, which I tried to fix, and I just gave up because I don't think it was fixable in that state. It was just too many like spaghetti code, everything connected, everything touching everything. So when you tried to fix the issue, you just broke half of the app. So yeah, in that case, I was actually pushing for rewriting that part. And we actually managed to do that. We managed to refactor it, not like write it from scratch, because that would be really hard. So we spent like a month or two at the end of last year trying to extract some stuff, refactor some stuff. It's much better than it was before. It's not, by far, it's not perfect. But yeah, I mean, you have to strive for perfection, but you can settle for less. No.
Okay, and I will have one more question about the hiring. Can we, will you share the slides with the QR codes, or should we say some website where we can,
I can,
or just GitHub?
Yeah, let's check. So there is this automatic.com work with us. I can also share the slides. I don't know if the conference will share them, maybe.
I will ask.
Yeah, I don't have them anywhere like online right now. But if you want to join, there's a list of job listings. We hire everything like PHP, JavaScript developers, everything possible. So you can just apply, and you'll see. It's a pretty cool job.
Okay. Or you can check out the GitHub and maybe help.
Yeah, definitely.
With the open source.
And definitely download the app and try it out. It's getting better. And it helps a lot with your own site. So I think it makes sense to have it installed if you have a WordPress site.
Okay. Thank you very much for your talk.
Thanks for the attention.
Yeah.